It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, so the Future Fund. Why did Labor race out of the blocks to release what it says is the first major policy of the next election campaign? I get it that they want to say something, do something, but this waffly statement, the waffly statements, the full franken meaningless stuff, emotional stuff was everywhere.
Like a lot of New Zealanders, I am concerned about the direction that our country is heading in. As a parent with 2 young kids, I worry a lot about what kind of future they are going to inherit from us.
My God, he said that without guilt or shame. I worry too. It was his government that tripled our debt. Does he have amnesia? Selective amnesia. Astonishingly tone deaf, isn't it? He was part of the problem. Now he's trying to sell us the solution. And on that solution, it was vacuous, wasn't it? The cold, hard facts, how this whole thing works, was missing. And Hipkins made that clear. It satisfied no one. Why bother?
We've deliberately not specifically said which ones because there are market disclosure requirements, potential market sensitivities, but we have said that on the list would be some of our state-owned enterprises, potentially mixed ownership model companies and so on. But there's obviously a process that we would need to go through in government before we could, publicly name those.
Rubbish. It's not like, we have many. The power companies are the ones who earn the dividends. It's not rocket science, Chris. So the journos kept peppering him, but no, he either had no idea, hadn't done the hard work, had no clue, or was keeping all this close to his chest, keeping it all secret. I'm going with the former.
We'll be setting out our tax policy before the end of the year. Watch this space. We'll be setting out, again, this is not our only policy. There's obviously a lot of policy to come. There is huge opportunity for the Crown, the government, to work alongside Māori in future investment in the country. We're very excited about the possibilities there, and we definitely want to partner.
So it's a fund investing in New Zealand firms with New Zealand money, picking winners, if you like, backing growth. Who will be involved? Which assets? Who knows?
I'm not going to specify the individual ones today.
The journos kept plugging Chris. Come on, Chris. More details, please.
We're specifically not naming individual entities today.
But no.
We're going to set that out once we are in government, because, as I've said, some of those potential assets, there are sensitivities around that.
So why bother releasing this at all? When it clearly wasn't ready. If it was ready, it could have answered the dozens and dozens of questions that we've got for it. I was there 10 years ago when Phil Twyford started selling Kiwi Build to the nation. It had everybody fooled. And this reminds me of Kiwi Build a bit, actually. 10 points for the slogan, sadly 100,000 homes, and years were wasted as Phil Twyford fooled and misled the nation that he had actually done the hard work. He hadn't, and it flopped. And we were deceived on a grand industrial scale as Labor. And Twyford sold us a pup, false hopes and dreams. But really it was engaging in the country's greatest exercise in deception, and Twyford suddenly engaged in the greatest disappearing act ever. Sadly for Labor, this appears not much better. Big and dreamy, big ideas, promises of capital flowing and jobs created, and everybody lives happily ever after on these never-ending dividends flowing from Crown assets. By the way, those dividends currently pay for schools and hospitals and operations and classrooms. So how is Labor going to switch that money to this and still pay for those things it currently does? Still beyond me. It can't answer that either. This nation-building, ambition-seeking, hand on your chest, I love the nation rhetoric, but it falls at every hurdle of scrutiny. It's all big and dreamy, but where's the scrutiny? This is a fantasy fund, not a future fund. If Labor's future fund was pitched on The Apprentice, it would get booted out faster than you can say policy failure. Because right now it's exactly that, a fantasy dressed up in fancy words with no substance to back it up. We were told yesterday it's our economic reset. There's no reset plan, just vague promises about Crown assets and a hopeful seed fund of around 200 million was mentioned. No asset list, no capital confirmation, no clear governance structure, no risk assessment, no measurable outcomes, and a payout timeline so far in the future it might as well be a sci-fi movie. This isn't leadership, it's political theatre. It's an attempt to dress up an empty folder as a masterstroke. Kiwi Build round 2. And it's even less certain than, at least Kiwi Build built, I think, about 100 homes or maybe 1,000 homes out of 100,000 promised. Sadly, in places no one really wanted to live, but it did build a few. Luxon is right to say that we would have absolutely hammered him if he showed up with empty promises like this. And you can't argue that. He should have ripped into them. If I was Luxon, I would have piled into them, delivered a political knockout because his opponent was vulnerable, had no jab, no right hook, and still Luxon failed to drop them. Contrast this with what National MP, National Minister, Education Minister Erica Stanford has pulled off with the overhaul of the NCEA, a mountain of detailed work, clear milestones, engagement with stakeholders, and solid, tangible outcomes. That's real policy work, and already you're seeing with Stanford progress in our literacy. So you're starting to see results already. Results in 2 years. That's policy work, and that's detailed, and that's accountable, that's transparent, and it's designed to deliver measurable change. That's what she's done. She is light years ahead of the rest of these guys. Meanwhile, Labour's future funders, lazy policy making at worst. It's vague. It's vague words. There's no numbers, no accountability. It's a lazy, empty promise to voters who deserve way better. If this fund's going to mean anything, Labour needs to stop hiding behind buzzwords and start delivering details. What exactly are the assets? How much capital precisely? What's the timeline for returns? Who manages it? How many jobs will it create? How will New Zealanders see tangible benefits? In what way? Where? Without answers, the future fund is just a policy ghost. Something to talk about, but impossible to trust, especially with their record. Hipkins are going on about inflation and employment. He can talk. And where's the opposition? Christopher Luxon. It's a bit limp. The response was a bit limp. It's done little to shake the narrative. If National wants to win, it can't just say Labour's got no plan. It needs to offer the alternative vision, backed by facts and figures. Kiwis deserve more than these empty promises, dressed in fog. They deserve clarity, accountability. This is you, and you deserve results. Anything less is not good enough. Why are we so apathetic and put up with this shit? Imagine Labour's future fund policy pitch as a moment on The Apprentice in the boardroom. So on stage, Chris Hipkins and Barbara Edmonds stand nervously before Lord Sugar. Here's our future fund, Barbara says. It's a bold new plan to invest in New Zealand's economy. Lord Sugar asks, how much money are you starting with? Barbara Edmonds says, about 200 million, possibly more. We're still working that out. Which assets are you putting in? He presses. Crown assets, but we haven't named any yet, replies Hipkins. So you want me to invest millions into a fund with no asset list, no clear capital commitment, and no timeline? Lord Sugar raises an eyebrow as he says it. Barbara replies, it's a long-term vision, sir. Returns start in 2028 and really kick in by 2036. 2036? Lord Sugar laughs. So I wait 11 years to see if this pays off? What about risks? What about governance? We'll have independent governance. But details are still being finalised, Hipkins says. At that point, Lord Sugar leans back and says, I want facts, numbers, and a plan I can believe in. This is all smoke and mirrors. You're fired. That's exactly what Labour's future fund looks like. A flashy political pitch with none of the hard numbers or accountability or any serious economic plan it needs. This isn't leadership. It's political theatre. And we didn't make it to the halftime break. We left shaking our heads at the interval. Before the interval, we left. Let's hope the encore has more details. Something tells me that they won't get the chance to launch this, because if you carry on like this and you watch those Labour and Chris Hipkins poll numbers, you watch them subside really quickly. This does nothing to address concerns that they're making all this up on the hoof. It addresses none of the concerns that families have right now with cost of living and the struggle. In short, why did Labour even bother? It does them, I reckon, more harm than good. Whoever decided that was a good idea yesterday needs to be read the Riot Act.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.